Welcome back to the Pistons Jack YouTube channel. On today's episode, we'll react to some rumors that the Pistons are still looking to fill out their backcourt. Malik Beasley shared some comments on his Instagram, and we'll also have an update on the Cam Thomas situation. So let's get to it. All right, first things first, I want to dive straight into the Cam Thomas situation because I think we can put this one to bed now with some new information coming from Jake Fisher of I think he does work for Bleacher Report and also the Steinline. He's named the People's Insider over there. Jake said on a recent, I think it was for Bleacher Report, one of their live shows that they do, he was doing a free agency update, and of course Cam Thomas came up, and quote from him, "I think he's going back to Brooklyn. I don't think there's any real suitors out there for him right now." He then followed up by saying, "Cam Thomas to me seems to be like the most likely of all the restricted free agents to take the qualifying offer. Throughout all of my conversations around his restricted free agency, I've not heard that Brooklyn has offered Cam Thomas anything further than a 2-year deal with a team option on the second year of the deal of around $14.1 million, the mid-level exception." So we spoke the other day about the report that's from Jake, that's what the Nets offered him, but it sounds like with the way the market's looking for all the restricted free agents, that Cam Thomas is the one who's kind of feeling the pinch the most. Obviously, there's Kuminga, there's Giddey, and there's Quentin Grimes, but it's starting to feel like at least definitely Grimes and Giddey are going to be back on their 76ers and the Bulls. Kuminga has a bit more of a market. Obviously, the Kings are interested in him. I believe even the Phoenix Suns might be. So there's a bit more of a market from him, even though there hasn't been any formal offers made. So Cam Thomas, players don't normally take the qualifying offer, but it feels like Cam Thomas is willing to take, I think he has like a $12 million qualifying offer, I believe I've heard. But it sounds like he's willing to take that instead of a 2-year, $28 million deal to get into free agency next summer and hopefully make and earn a big payday there when there should be more money amongst NBA teams to spend. So, look, it was always unlikely he was coming to Detroit. There was some more commentary from, it's at Ari Report, who we're going to talk about something he mentioned in just a moment, who I believe is an insider. I have to still, some of his stuff's been accurate, some of his hasn't. He's kind of just emerged in the past few months on Twitter, but he said Cam Thomas to the Pistons is absolutely not happening. And it just feels like in general, like when we discussed the depth chart and all that, it kind of didn't make a lot of sense for Cam Thomas to come to the Pistons. Of course, I went through on previous videos how they could acquire him and how like the Pistons could actually acquire him on a deal of around $40 million because of that $14.3 million trade exception they had. So there was a world where the Pistons could sign and trade and get him and still get him for that value, but I don't think Cam Thomas. I think even if the Pistons could offer that, I think he has more of a role on the Nets next season to earn himself a bigger payday than coming to Detroit. The only way I could see him earning more money coming to a team like Detroit over the Nets in the long term, like say he came to the Pistons on a 2-year deal, same structure, but he just wanted a new scenery, 2 years, 28, say that's the game. Maybe he had a player option the second year or team option, whatever. I could see him maybe earning more money if he had some big moments in the playoffs and showing that he can be on a winning team, but there's no way he'd be starting on the Pistons, barring any injuries. And I think with LeVert already off the bench, and Cam Thomas, like there's just a lot of overlap there in terms of they are different players, but they both are guys that need the ball. And look, Cam's probably a bit better scorer, but I think Karras gives you a bit more defensively and as a playmaker. So it was always unlikely, but I want to get that. This will be the last time we probably talk about Cam Thomas until something actually happens if he does come to the Pistons, but it doesn't sound like it's happening. So wanted to touch on that first. But moving on, we had I guess this is a rumor / report from, as you can see on the right here, from Ari Report, who I just mentioned before over on Twitter. He said that point blank, the Detroit Pistons and Atlanta Hawks have looked at backcourt options in free agency, league sources say. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because I'm kind of surprised that the Pistons, I'm not surprised they're still looking to fill out that backcourt because we've spoken a lot about how they probably don't have a true backup point guard. Ivy's going to fill a lot of those minutes. Karis LeVert's going to fill a lot of those minutes. And I think even Asar at times will get minutes as the point guard, even if they are small. But the Pistons don't have that like backup point guard. They just don't. And they didn't at the entering last season. Obviously, we know they got Dennis Schroeder, but they let him walk this summer. So this got me thinking, well, if the Pistons are still looking at this, they're probably still looking at backup fours as well. But I just wanted to do an update of who's available and some of the names I do actually think could be a nice little pickup here for the Pistons. So as you can see on the right here, I have Malcolm Brogdon, who is to the right, and then Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey is a name I haven't mentioned at all. I know people in the comments have brought him up a couple of times. So let's talk about Amir Coffey first. So he's 6'7" guard. He's been on the Clippers for 4 or 5 seasons, primarily coming off the bench with spot starts. Last season, he averaged 10 points, couple of rebounds, couple of assists, 47% from the field, but 41% from three, which is really encouraging on around 4 or 5 attempts a game. Like I said, good size at the guard position, 6'7". Obviously, he could slide up, play at the 3. I think that would be an excellent depth add. I do wonder, similar to like how we're speaking about Chris Boucher, if like Amir Coffey does want to come to a team like Detroit, where he'll probably be the 9th or 10th man with a healthy roster. So, but if you could get him, maybe I do think both he and Brogdon will be guys that request a biannual exception of $5.1 million. Like, I don't think you're getting these two on a vet min. I think Amir Coffey is a real bucket getter, and especially when you're signing him as like your, say 8th through to 12th man, wherever you want to slot him. Like, I think he can be a real nice player to add. I think he's like 27, 28 years old, so came into the league a little bit later. But I mean, after looking at the numbers, I've watched Clippers games, obviously, over past years, and he's always been a guy that stands out. He's a lefty. I'm a lefty myself, so a bit of bias there as well. So I think it'd be cool to add him. Malcolm Brogdon was spoken about a fair bit. I don't want to be negative about him, but Brogdon last season only played 24 games, has been injured a lot in his career. In theory, when he was in his prime with the Bucks, excellent like combo guard that can create, can score a little bit off the dribble, great, like pretty good distributor, can defend at 6'5", but just hasn't been healthy. And he played 24 games last season, averaged 13 points, 4 dimes, but he did it on pretty bad efficiency, only shooting 43% from the field, 29% from 3. So look, I kind of don't really see him coming to the Pistons. Like, he's a guy last season that made $22 million. Obviously, he's not going to make $22 million this upcoming season, but I still think he's a guy that's going to try and get a contract. Like I said, for the Pistons to get him, I think it's going to take the biannual exception. Maybe there's not much of a market for him because of the injuries and that kind of thing, but if I had to pick between the two guys on the right, I would take Coffey, whilst Brogdon is definitely more of the playmaker and point guard. I do just think having 6'7" guys that can shoot 40% from 3 in your lineup, in your depth, is a viable weapon. And we've seen Amir Coffey, I've seen him go off with the Clippers, particularly when like Kawhi and Paul George were injured, like in those seasons. Like, he's a guy who's gotten spot starts and put up like 20-point games with ease. So he's a guy I really like. Some other names here that we haven't really discussed this whole offseason. Gary Payton II, obviously excellent defender at the 2-guard position. I don't think he gives you much as a playmaker, and the 3-point shooting is shaky at best. So if the Pistons could add him on a vet min and he's like coming in to lock down and bring you some defense off the bench, I think that is good. I just kind of question, like the shooting, and he doesn't really do a lot with the ball in hands. Excellent cutter. Like I said, his guy's going to get steals, create transition looks. So maybe that's all you need from your 9th or 10th guy. So that's another name. And then Delano Banton, played for the Raptors, most recently on the Trailblazers, 6'9" point guard, 8 points, 2 and 2 last season, but the efficiency with him, 39% from the field, 32% from 3. Like, I'm just not sure if the playmaking is good enough to justify those numbers, but 6'9" point guard is intriguing to me. I think he's an intriguing player for sure. I'm just not sure about a playoff team like the Pistons, but those are some names. And then obviously a lot of people keep bringing up Russell Westbrook, but it's pretty much been reported he's going to the Kings. And then the other name, the only other really point guard on there that I could see realistically being available is Corey Joseph. And I loved Corey Joe in 2021 with Kay Cunningham, but I know I was in the minority there, but I thought Kojo was really good for the Pistons, particularly Cade's rookie season. But I think Kojo is probably past his prime. So I think he was on the Magic last season. But honestly, that's pretty much everything I could find in the backcourt and the free agency market. Who's your favorite? Like I said, I think Amir Coffey stands out for me. Let's see what the Pistons do. I still think they've only got 13 players. Sounds like Dennis Jenkins is probably going to remain a two-way guy now. So they've still got to sign at least one more player before opening night. So Amir Coffey to me stands out of this list. But you guys let me know who you like of those names, or there's someone I missed. But to wrap it up here, Malik Beasley posted a couple of Instagram stories, I believe yesterday or the day before. But as you can see them on the right here, the first story was the one that is on the right of the image to the right, where it says, "Best believe I'm coming back better than ever." And then he followed that with, "Never needed your opinion." So look, I'm not going to get too much into the investigation. All I'll say is there's a really good breakdown of the entire situation that Pablo Torres did. So just look that up. But look, I think this thing's going to take a while to play out. But I do have to wonder, obviously Malik feels as though he's not guilty, and that's to be expected. Do you have to wonder, like, let's just say, like, I surely don't think this will happen. I think the Pistons have moved on from Malik for the time being. Like, they just had to. You couldn't wait for this situation to play out and not sign Duncan Robinson or not pivot to Karis LeVert. Like, you needed to try and fill the gap that Malik Beasley left. But you do have to wonder, the Pistons scoping the backcourt for agency market. Malik, they were about to offer him the mid-level exception, 3 years, $42 million. Like, is there a chance, like, if his situation is cleared? Because right now, like, the Pistons can sign him. It's just, it wouldn't be wise while he's got this going on. The reason Terry Rozier kept playing last season with all this going on was because he's contracted, and you're innocent until proven guilty. So, you do have to wonder, like, if this Malik situation, say it picks up steam in the next 3 to 4 months, and, you might be in November, they've still got at least one roster spot available. Like, do you sign him to a vet min? Obviously, other teams would probably want to sign him as well because of the incredible season he had. But, yeah, look, we'll see what happens. I just wanted to bring this up because I believe this is the first time. Like, Malik's still been posting on Instagram. I saw he was at Tomorrowland at a music festival in, I think it's Amsterdam. So he's still living his life. But this is the first time I feel like he's said anything towards his basketball career. We've seen him working out. But, yeah, whatever happens is going to happen. Hoping the best for Malik. But we'll see what happens there. But let me know your thoughts on today's show. Till next time, as always, go Pistons.